Hi, my name is Erin, and this is the reading of my Writing About Words essay titled Family Challenging the Ideal American Definition. While growing up, everyone experiences unique feelings, situations, and problems that are distinctly their own. They have been taught to love differently, to value family differently, and to hold different meanings for the purpose of marriage. However, whenever asked to describe the ideal American family, rarely does anyone describe their own, but the definition of family society has taught them throughout the majority of their life. This definition typically includes a stay-at-home mother who normally does the cooking as well as the cleaning up, a working husband who is categorized as the provider of the family, and their 2 or 3 lovely children that are biologically their own. This idea is considered to be a nuclear family. Berger writes, social scientists have used the term nuclear family to describe a family consisting of a father, a mother, and their children. In other words, the nuclear family is the ideal American family we all picture upon hearing the word. Although this definition does not remain consistent throughout all of the families and households in the United States or even the world. The ideal family definition is especially curious when considering that, according to Ballantyne, Roberts, and Corrigan, nuclear families consist of only 15% of all families and 7% of all households in the United States. Thus, people need to expand not only their knowledge, but definition of the word and idea of family. In other words, this nuclear family is, by no means, the only definition of family that should be prominent throughout our lives. Generally, there are 2 basic forms of family that all people will have some correspondence or association with at some point during their life. The first type of family is the family of orientation. As written by Ballantyne, Roberts, and Corrigan, the family of orientation is the family into which we are born. This simply means that a person's family of orientation is the family who raises them, whether that be a parent or parents, a sibling or siblings, or a legal guardian of some sort. This is also the family in which we, as social creatures, typically receive our morals, values, traditions, and even where we develop our own definition of family. The other type of family is the family of procreation. The family of procreation, as defined by Ballantyne, Roberts, and Corrigan, is the family we create ourselves. This type of family usually consists of lifelong partners and the children these partners gain. Usually this is the family in which we pass down the morals, values, traditions, and the definition of family we learn from our family of orientation. In spite of the fact that all people will correlate themselves with either one or both of these families, there are still many types and forms of families that the majority of people leave out of these classifications. With that being said, not all people are born into the average family of orientation that people refer to as the nuclear family. Some children are born into the world without a mother or father to go home to, nor do they have a home in general. Instead, these children are placed in a group home or foster care facility. Within this facility, these children do not typically have brothers, sisters, aunts, uncles, cousins, or even grandparents to take the place of the missing parent or parents. This causes them to create a new definition of family. Instead of relying on DNA and whether or not they are related to the person, these people depend more so on their connection to a person. These kids grow up within the home, sharing memories with other children who have no relation with them whatsoever. Alternatively, these children whose paths happen to cross accidentally end up sharing a deep bond with one another and become family in a way that is foreign to the majority of people. These children do not bond with each other by force due to having been born into a family, but bond by choice due to people who make them happy. Of course, children who do grow up in a nuclear, extended, or blended family end up being happy with their loved ones. We often bond with them because they are all that we know. However, many would argue that families created in group homes are not really families at all, but they happen to be more of a family than anyone else could imagine. Nevertheless, the definition of family should not be dependent on marital status nor children or the lack thereof. When reading the definition of family of procreation, many people will automatically, whether unconsciously or not, think back to that ideal American family, also known as the nuclear family. However, this family created by ourselves does not need children or a wedding ceremony in order to make it official. A married couple consisting only of themselves can be considered a family equally as much as a married couple with children. However, that couple does not even need to be married at all. Cohabitation, as defined by Ballantine, Roberts, and Corrigan, is the process of two people living together in a sexual relationship without marriage. These two people can still support each other financially, physically, mentally, and emotionally without the marriage certificate. These two people can also form the inseparable bond created only between a family without going through the process of having a ceremony first. These families, although only consisting of romantically involved partners, relies in them, as written by Berger, living and striving together, making them bond to each other by mutual ties of affection and obligation. Due to these couples living with one another, they form a deep love between them that can only be defined as family. Nonetheless, marriage also does not merely consist of a husband and a wife. On the occasion of picturing that ideal American family, oftentimes, as stated above, we picture the spouses to be husband and wife, completely foregoing the idea of wife and wife or husband and husband. We cling solely to that of heterosexual couples, partly because homosexuality is not nearly advertised as much as heterosexuality, but mostly because of that ideal picture society has implanted within our minds for many years. Although there are many people against same-sex relationships and same-sex marriages, others, according to Ballantine, Roberts, and Corrigan, claim that supportive lifelong relationships are good for individuals and good for society. In spite of this fact, there are many families with transgender parents that are also considered to be outside of the definition of family. Along with many other groups identifying within the LGBTQ+ community, homosexuals and transgender people are most likely to be discriminated against. The majority of people find families containing people with these labels as unnatural and simply weird. Due to the fact that they are unable to understand these people and how their families function, they immediately discredit their identity and the true existence of their family. Throughout history, the oppression of homosexuals and all people identifying within the LGBTQ+ community has been extremely prominent. However, more rights are being granted as time continues. Ballantine, Roberts, and Corrigan also write, they see the growing support for the legalization of same-sex marriage as an encouraging sign about how important the family is to society. In other words, more people are beginning to support same-sex relationships as well as relationships and families consisting of people identifying as transgender because they are better understanding the importance of family no matter the shape or size it comes in. People are learning to accept all forms of love and family, no matter how far astray they may be from that ideal picture mentioned above. However, besides the family of orientation and procreation, there are many other subcategories to define other unique relationships. One of these subcategories is extended families. Ballantine, Roberts, and Corrigan write, extended families include two or more adult generations that share tasks and living quarters. This may include brothers, sisters, aunts, uncles, cousins, and grandparents. To clarify, extended families are families that consist of many generations living under one roof. This could include an abundant amount of family members or simply a grandparent living with their child and grandchildren. Another form of family is the blended family. According to the NAELA Journal, blended families consist of a husband and wife or spouses of the same sex and their children from previous marriages and/or other unions, as well as children from their common union. In simple terms, blended families consist of a married couple who have children from previous relationships and from their current marriage. This means that step-parents and step-siblings are included within the family. The last form is the nuclear family, which, as defined above by Berger, is used to describe a family consisting of a father, a mother, and their children. However, the real idea of family does not depend on those textbook definitions. In conclusion, there are many different definitions of family that have been defined by many social scientists. There are superficial definitions, subcategories regarding family, and plenty of textbook definitions. However, the true definition of family cannot be described using words, simply because it is a bond. To bond with a person so deeply, far deeper than simply love, is the foundation of all wonderful families, and something that can only be described and defined by yourself. Only you are capable of defining the type of family you have and what they mean to you. Without feeling connected with your family, whoever they may be, you cannot be a family to begin with. Love, trust, and connection are the most important aspects in becoming and gaining a family, and without them, we would all be merely shadows of ourselves. Thank you for listening.